Hi, friends. I hate doing re-records. I'm sure you guys don't enjoy them either. For those of you that did catch the original video, it's unlisted. I'll put a link in the description if you want to watch with no audio for me. I basically went through the whole game, talked about totally different things, and before the game began, I talked about why my background's up. NVIDIA has made some updates, and it's made it so that it does not function the same way on Streamlabs. And thus, you can see my room. It's kind of a mess. I know I have like the green screen on the ground over there, and you can see stuff there and whatnot. But on the plus side, you get to see kind of other cool stuff that I have. But you know, this is my at the moment way we're gonna go. I guess you guys are going to force me to clean my room. I know I'm a degenerate. This is my office. This is where I work all day when I'm not streaming and, of course, not doing YouTube videos. So I spend a lot of time in this room. And I just generally just want to, when I'm in here, I want to do what I'm trying to do. But I love the space. It's just, you know, I got a lot of things and I just haven't made it look nice. So as you all know, this is a re-record. So it is... Krabbypasta again. He submitted 2 games, and I wanted to go through what was going on and talk about his gameplay. So we're going to jump right into it. Of note, he's playing against Roma, who is has a Masters border. Generally, I try to give those individuals more respect. So we're going to kind of talk about what that means when I see it and all that kind of stuff here in a little bit and throughout the game. Krabbypasta does make the exact same mistake as he does the previous game. Doesn't get enough saturation before going to get his first hatch. Okay, cool. Also, I'm recording this Friday night. I should be live on stream, but I'm not quite ready to do that because I want to make sure I got this video out because Krabbypasta was very excited for it. So cheers to you. Ooh, that's tasty. I got a new ice cube maker, and I used it tonight. And so... that's why I have a square cube instead of a round one. Maybe I make it so it's a little bit easier to see that. Back to the game. Basically, I like the scouting. He's really smart about what he's doing. His opponent is doing a low ground expand. Usually this is a 3 Reaper opener. When you see it, you'll just need to be ready for the inevitable push on your third if they play that route. Alternatively, they could be playing something where it's a very defensive build, but they wanted to make sure that they got their natural very quickly, which we'll find out later. I know the answer already. Sorry, guys. The other bit is that Krabby here, we know that you're not fully saturating. Yeah, actually, you did fully saturate this time. But you also didn't gather gas in a way that makes sense. Like, you didn't have... as much gas as you needed to get speed, and you delayed it a lot, and that's really painful to watch. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit because you're making the same kind of mistakes that you were before. I'm sorry for the flickering. This is Krabbypasta keeping his fingers warm by using his hotkeys, something I'm working on. So good job on you for doing that. But the other bit is that you want to make sure that it's useful when you're doing these spamming things and all that kind of stuff. If you could try to do that. Try like maybe setting a hotkey on a Overlord, not the location of the Overlord, but one of those kind of things where you do that. We'll slow it down in just a little bit. Note, you want your queen on the other side of your creep tumor against Terran, because what happens is they tend to push in with the Reaper and kill that creep tumor. You want to make sure that you protect it. You put the queen past where you're putting the creep tumor, and then you put the creep tumor down. That's why you'll see the pros not put it on the edge. They'll put it like one click in, one hex in. So instead of here, they'll put it like right there kind of thing. That way the queen doesn't get slowed when they step off creep, doesn't get bounced away by the Reaper, stuff like that. Just so you know. Also, make sure you continue to keep creep spread. This already is up. You want to do it. Good job on your inject. We do find out again that you still struggle with the same issues because you hadn't seen the video by the time you uploaded this. Making sure your creep spread is really active. Like this creep tumor should be over here. You should have another creep tumor. Your queen count's really great. At some point you want to throw down like lings out into the map just to like give you more idea, right? If you put a ling here, you're going to see if they're going to do a drop. You obviously have your Overlord over here, but like if you put a couple lings, a ling here, ling here, right? You can make it so you know when your opponent's getting their third. You know that you can creep up, or not creep, drone up really, really hard. You want to get really fast to that 60 count. You know that you can tech up, etc., etc., etc. This Overlord's very vulnerable. I like putting it here, and then you could put like a ling right here, and maybe right here. You need a bigger number of lings is another thing that I've noticed. You're very low on them. You only have 4. At about this time, you probably, maybe a little bit past this, maybe about 5 minutes, you want about 20. So your link count's kind of low. We didn't talk about that the other time. Your creep spread is still low, right? Spread, spread, spread. It's your vision. The more creep you have, the more vision you have, which means the longer you have to know what's coming at you and to be able to respond appropriately. That's also why you want to put all your scouting information out there. Other things, when you do this dive, being able to make it an overseer means that it won't die, especially if you only see 1 Marine. You now know they're going mech. One of the things that I was talking about in the other video that unfortunately my audio didn't work with was you need to be able to transition eventually into anti-sky, because a lot of Terrans will go mech and then transition into BCs. Like, that's just like a thing. If you watch like Vibe Terran Bronze to Gold, or Bronze to GM, sorry, he does cover that kind of thing, and that's one of those pieces where you just want to be aware of it. Other pieces, when you sacked, you hit a thing, you actually hit a supply block for a moment. It wasn't terrible, just slightly tweak it a little bit. And then another thing I noticed that I'm not showing again in this video, when you selected this Overlord, once you have it selected, you can just click on the minimap. You don't actually have to go like this, which is what you kind of did. So just kind of like little tips and tricks here and there. Again, your link count's kind of low. You're being very passive. You don't know if he has a third. You don't know if he has a third. You don't know if he has a third. You don't know if he has any hidden bases. Not that he does, but like those kind of things. Your creep spread is still weak, right? Your spawn tumors are sitting here idle for a very, very long time. Oh, here comes an army. Your queens happen to be in a good location. But look, idle, 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 idle. Lots of energy. Imagine if your creep was out here, right? This is where your creep should be at this point in the game. These queens, even if they were spread all out, like over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, you could have hit the queen button that is not your injectors and pulled them all to the center, and you'd have been gold. That was something that I talked about. You also notice that he's doing Hellions, a lot of Hellions. Specifically, you saw a lot of mech. Also, spread your creep now, right now, right now. You throw down right here where you lost, spread it out, because what's going to happen is this is going to recede. You can't see it, but it's receding, right? Your opponent already saw some of it receding after killing it. And eventually, and you can't see it over the darkness, right? You can see everybody where it's creeped back, right? You could have re-expanded it already, and then you're not going to have all this pushback. Overlord's under attack. You see Cyclones. You now know it's Battle Mech. What Battle Mech is basically Hellion and Cyclones. You want a lot of lings for that army. You want to have lots of queens, and you eventually want to probably go Muta, or you want to go Lurker, because Lurkers will just shit all over that. Stop. Nope. Nope. Boom. Be quiet. I am in the middle of a cast. I should have not been in voice. I'm going to jump back. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I will be back in a little bit, audio-wise. Now, back to our game. We're going to continue. We're going to press play. And yes, roaches is something you can do because of Battle Mech. You need a lot of them, and a lot of the time, roaches are weak against Battle Mech because these beautiful units right here, what they do is they lock onto your roaches and then run away, and your roaches can never catch them. The Hellions, you don't really care if you lose them, so you just use the Hellions to, like, you leave 1 or 2 back to get the vision, and you just face roll at your opponent when they do roaches. Which is why I did not explicitly say that. Also, you know that your opponent is doing what they're doing, so we're back to normal speed, right? Don't send your queens first. You want to send your lings first, because you want those lock-ons on the lings, not on the queens. Queens die very fast, similar to the roaches. The other bit is that I talked a lot about is grabbing just a chunk of these lings and having them go around and prevent them to expand. And I was super excited with myself. I was like, oh, look, when they're in your face, they're attacking. They're going to be aggressive because they're covering for something. And then I clicked over here, and I was like, everyone, and he lands. I did it again, but I knew it was coming, so it's not as fun. But if you had gone back and you'd hit at like 7 minutes when he started to attack this base, all he had here was 1 Cyclone, Siege Tank, and I think it was 2 Hellions in the original video. So if you had those 12 Lings, you could have either taken the tank or killed the Cyclone. You could have done some damage and prevented him from wanting to move out, which is super important because he's basically telling you that he wants to be very defensive and he wants to continue to expand and be safe. If you see that, fast expand. You do this macro hatch. Instead, go hatch, 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 right? Expand out so that when he attacks you, that he has to go through all those bases to get to you. And it's very important that you do that. The reason being is because then you have that much more time to amass the correct unit composition and have it in the right positioning and do a big collapse, and you're not losing your income. Because when they attack, they're going to go right after this income right here. But if you have no income over here and it's just a macro hatch anyways, and you lose just that macro hatch and you protect the income and the base that's getting the income, it's way better off. That being said, it means that you have to run a lot farther, right, if he decides to do 2-prong. Also, another thing to note is, generally speaking, at higher levels, what they do is they attack one location and then they attack another. Just a move, just let it attack. You don't need to micro overly aggressive, please. No, not right now. If you had not microed this at all, you'd have been perfectly fine. You'd have probably killed a lot more. It's going to be 10 to 15 minutes. Go away, please. I'll come and find you in a little bit. Sorry, I had my door shut and my wife still came on. I'm trying to do okay. This is going really poorly. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be really fast and cover all the things I covered in a 40-minute video in like 20 minutes because I want to get to the stream and my wife wanted to talk. You get it, I'm sure. Point being is like the same problems you had before you have again. This was a great catch. Just don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Let them keep fighting. You want them to kill that army. And like microing this, and this gets all of them killed, and you don't get the tank, and all you had to do is let it just do its thing, and you would have been able to kill that entire army that was there. Oh man, this was great. I really like that. Sucks that you lost the base, but you know what? He lost a heck of a lot more, and you didn't lose as much. You did lose a lot of banelings, but that's okay. Even-ish, a little bit to your advantage, and you have you've had a bigger income because you have more bases and more workers. So, like this army. Hit a move over here, watch it when it gets to about here, take this army, and a move it into the base here, right? Oh no, he caught you. That happens. Shit is what it is, right? You gotta be really careful. He's gonna pull you into his tank. But these Banes coming in could like break the wall. You could get in the mineral line at the same time this is going on. Banelings are good, but not that good. And this is where you need to start saying, oh, I went and got other tech. You went and actually got Hydra. Where's your Hydras? How many units are Hydras? You have no Hydras. You've been having them for a long time. You have lots of resources. You have a lot of overhead. You have a lot to be able to get that Hydra count. Now, enough Hellions, 20 Hellions, or 20 Hydras. Hydras are more expensive. I would take the 20 this is something that I was saying in the other one, and I am butchering the crap out of it. Oh, look, he's attacking this base. Imagine if he was attacking this base or this base and couldn't attack because get to this base. You have the opportunity to move your entire army over there and all your queens, etc. Right? What I'm trying to say is like you've kneecapped yourself. You don't have any vision, right? Where's your creep spread? Because if your creep spread was out here, you'd know he was coming to attack this. If you had the bases out here and here, you would be able to launch more creep off of it. If you look, you have this base, creep spread. Creep spread. You have all these queens hanging out doing nothing, full energy. Like, you want them at half energy or below about 85% of the time. Creep spread, right? If you have creep in this base, takes so long for that creep to recede. You want to keep spreading your creep. It's super annoying. It's super powerful. The high-level players are doing it constantly. There's a reason there's a tug and pull for both players when you see high-level play against creep. It's because creep is like, Terran doesn't want to walk on it unless they know they have an insurmountable army, like they are like a 150 army and it's their final end game and they're trying to kill you in one swoop. You need to make sure your larva count is really high. You have only 13 larvae. you need to keep injecting the whole time, every time. And you've done a pretty good job this game. But like your macro hatches don't.
Met the enemy in combat.
So you're in a situation where you're not getting all the larva that you need, so that when you make this attack, you're able to re-max. You're not even max. You're attacking with like a half-sized army. Also, this is awesome. I really liked watching this the first time around. You did a really good job. You went in, you did a lot of damage, you killed a lot of important stuff, you killed buildings that mattered. And this is where I think you start to freak out. You're like, oh my god, I'm under attack at the same time. Ah! You have more bases. You have the ability to build more things fast. So what you do is you wait until you have your army ready to go. Wait, don't attack. Wait until all that stuff's done. And then attack and surround as a whole with everything. Because right now, you have all these banelings that are ready to come, but they're not out yet. They're not here. Where are more hydras, right? You can start to tech up. I love these banelings coming in and crushing against this whole army. Just completely decimates it. And your reinforcements is when you go across the map and you re-attack, you pull the queen that's being locked on back, you inject it, make sure that it doesn't die. You had all that energy, make sure you don't lose all that energy, right? If you'd taken this and you transfused, you'd been gold. Inject, you know what I'm talking about, right? And it was such a good counterattack. Yes, I would think he has that base too, except for you had to run by it several times. No attack, just attack. You just killed his entire army. It takes forever for mech to rebuild. He doesn't have any tanks. He doesn't have anything. All you had to do was attack, and you would have at least killed this. You would deny this base again. You could check over here and deny this base with another army or whatever while you're pushing over here, and then you pull back when you're getting into trouble, right? So you need a second hotkey with another army of just like 20 lings, 30 lings. You have them attack a different location from this army. Lots of ways to make it so you can improve your play, all that kind of stuff. Your Overlord spread is non-existent. Your Overseer spread is non-existent. Also, this was great. You killed a bunch of income. You pushed him down again. This was okay. You did fine. I can't really complain too much. Getting your Hydras out is great. And then doing this is amazing, right? I'm going to pause the game right here. Remember, you're still doing damage. And I'm going to press I. He's down to 40 workers. He's going to make a big push. You need to make sure that all your larva is spent, and you have enough tech and enough units to deal with whatever he sends you. And of course, continue your upgrades, all that kind of stuff. Make sure A moving, right? You're just sending them into their deaths. These are units that could easily have helped against this. You got inside of his main. This is awesome. This is going to win you the game. At this point, he's in desperation mode. All those workers go here. Nice. Make sure you have now, you build up that army, right? Get ready to pull workers, make all the remaining queens, and get ready to attack this force. He can't wage war anymore. You killed his income here. You killed his income here. You made it so he doesn't have this. You're killing what remains there. You have basically decimated any kind of ability to play the game for him other than this army. So what you need to do is you need to do everything in your power to build up the army in a safe location. Put them here, right? Grab all these. F2 and A move this army. Grab all of your queens that you have. Every one of them. Go to each one of your bases. Grab them. Grab this army. Take half of it and go and attack this. When that half gets over here-ish, do the big push and try and kill it. Because if you can kill this army, the game is over. Remember, Terran can lift, right? We know Terran can lift. We want to make sure that if they do lift, that you still survive. Right? If you had built Hydras and had him in a concave right here, he could never come up here. You'd be able to just kill him on the ramp forever, for example. You'd be able to defend yourself while you continue to rip him apart and pull out any ability that he has to do anything in this game. And that being said, you did a really good job. Like, I'm not complaining about any of your play here, other than not having a concave of Hydras. And you don't need the upgrades for Hydras to have them be good. Yeah, it helps a lot against that 4 armor, but like, and then it didn't A move this army. Oh my gosh, no! Like, this army is just at the stairs. You just didn't. And then, oh, this is another thing I harped on. You can take the rally point and click it back on the building. And the units will just spawn there, and if there's a threat, they will automatically attack. They'll just attack as soon as they spawn if there's enemies nearby that you're trying to kill. So, if you had killed this because you hadn't sent your army right here and you had attacked with it all, and with all these attacking this, especially if he kills a building, these broodlings, hell yeah, that's a bunch of damage that you need to be able to kill this at this point. And unfortunately, he's got you down to 1 base, 1 queen. Hydras, wait, let's pause for a second. You have a ton of larvae across the map. When the base dies, the larva doesn't die until the creep recedes. This is 5 Hydras right here. You have enough money for it, you have the tech for it, and you know you need to kill this army. And look at this. He's trying to come into your base with this stuff, with these orbital commands. If you had made these 5 Hydras, he would never have been able to attack over here, and you'd been able to get more Hydras over here. And earlier, there was a bunch of larvae here, and there's a bunch of larvae right here. And you have enough money for 10 Hydras right now. 10 Hydras against this army is going to decimate it, make it so these can't land, and you're able to win the game. You are inches away from finishing it. And these lings that you have over here, you can send them to be busy on this stuff and make sure that these buildings don't work anymore. And then these Hydras, wait until you have all the other Hydras, grab your queen, grab all your workers, and then take all your overlords. Have your overlords go in first so that the cyclones lock onto them. Then attack move with everything on it. F2, grab all of those workers, all that kind of stuff. You have the army to kill this. And you have the ability to prevent him from landing and repairing. So you are very close to have won this game, even in this position. And I know it's really stressful. This just indicates your experience and understanding as a Zerg player. And I'm hoping that the information I'm giving you right now will help you immensely with regards to being able to take advantage of the fact that you still have these lings. That you still have... Look at that Hydra. That Hydra killed one of those cyclones. And you're almost going to get another one. Run this away. Don't let it just A-move alone. Killed another one. You got 2 cyclones for 2 Hydras. That's insane. These are 100, 150. Make sure you manage your queen. Attack the one that's weak. Run away. Attack with the whole army, right? You're a little bit slow on that when the queen was fighting. You should have. This is a good idea. You did okay, etc. Send 1 drone way up here. Grab an extractor. Send 1 into his base. Grab a base. Send 1 down here. Grab a base. Assuming you have the money, you don't have the money because you spent it all on Hydras and you have all your larvae spent, right? Versus what you've done. And 1 extractor is way better, and getting the bigger army is way better than letting him get back to his full self. And he's looking for your bases, right? So it's okay. Also, these drones could kill the supply depot. You don't need to take this army and attack that. It will these drones will kill it alone. You can just A-move them on there. Making those Hydras is way better than getting 1, 2, 3, 4 bases that are all on the same side, and then losing your army when he actually has the ability to use his orbital commands mules. That being said, this was a fantastic game, and you were very close a number of times to winning. There was little tiny things that made the difference between the win and the loss. And those little tiny things are experience. And I like this stupid flying building comment. It's one of those little tiny things where you almost had it many, many, many times. And I think if you had played this game with the knowledge that I just gave you, it would have been an easy dub for you. That being said, thank you for submitting another game to getting feedback. One of the hardest things that you can possibly do in life, not just StarCraft, is asking people to pull apart your gameplay and criticize what you're doing and ask for you to understand what could be better than what's going on. That is super duper hard. It's amazing to put yourself out there. I hope this is exceedingly helpful, and I'm hoping that you are able to improve immensely from it. And I hope to see another game that you submit. Message me. I'm cool with you just literally directly messaging me and sending me that you want me to see all the improvements in what you learned. That being said, I'm throwing a ton of information at you. I'm literally talking for over 30 minutes. There is enough information in these 30 minutes for you to practice for months to get all of those things practiced and like ingrained in your regular gameplay and thought process. And so what I mean by that is that what you want to do is you want to focus on 1 or 2 things every single game. And your goal as a player, what you're trying to do is to improve that one thing until you feel that it's not easily improvable enough and it's detracting from other things that you also need to improve on. So 10, 20, 30 games where you're focusing on not getting supply capped. I'm using that as a general example. 20, 30 games where you're focusing on making sure that you have your overlord spread correct. 20, 30 games of making sure your creep spread is good, while maintaining the other things that you've practiced while you were doing that. If you can do that, I can foresee you going a very long way. You're already in Diamond. You just played against a lot of other players. You've played a lot against other players, so you're learning from them as well. And you're practicing things and you're learning things each time you play. Also, when I say practice, I don't mean just play the game. I mean, intentionally focus on it. Make sure your supply cap doesn't happen. Make sure you check your mini map. Make sure that you are reviewing your game to see where you faltered on the thing that you said you're setting out to win on that match. The win is making that improvement on that game, not getting supply cap the whole time and making sure you follow your build. That's a win. Making sure that you are able to spread your creep consistently with only a certain amount of downtime on your creep timers is important. Including it in your rotation. Adding in a certain scout. Scouting after the initial scout, right? You did your initial scout, and then you didn't really scout anymore. You didn't position yourself in a way that you could prevent your opponent from getting to you without you knowing it. You didn't have those lings all over the place. And then you didn't have the right unit composition to fight your opponent. As my friend that jumped in earlier said, build roaches. So, and I'm not saying roaches are the right answer. Muta could have been the right answer because they're so fast. They can keep up with the Cyclones and with the Hellions. Now, Mutas lose to Cyclones pretty heavily, and Lings crush Cyclones. So think about how you can mix your army together and have certain unit compositions and things focusing down certain stuff. Again, that's more of a GM level kind of conversation where you kind of say this unit is focusing this and the way you control things. One other thing that I did notice is that you over micro. What I mean by that is that you just didn't, once you got to past them and hit A and clicked in a random location, you didn't let your units just attack. And there was a ton of times where your opponent had super low mech units that would have all died if you hadn't repositioned 3 times during the fight. You could have just let them do their thing, gone back to your macro cycle, right? Once you get the surround, hit that A move, go back to your macro cycle. Stop focusing on that fight. Make it so that you have more lings and more army so that if you did lose that fight, that you're ready for the next time he comes in after he's repaired it. Or you have enough army and stuff that survived that you can hit him with a flank, and then your army that you built while macroing, while that fight was going on, is able to hit him in another location he can't defend, because now you have 2 armies, one beaten and one that is fresh, being able to hit 2 different locations at the same time or a similarly timed period. That being said, good game. I hope that the audio worked this time. I'm seeing it show up in the lower in my informational on Streamlabs, and I hope to see more games from you. I really do. GG's, and until next time, thank you so much, and I'll see you around.